A couple of years ago, I started posting on Instagram with hashtags like contemporary art, watercolor art, acrylic art, etc, etc, etc. In the first couple of posts, I was getting 2 to 3 likes a post, and this was simply amazing. I never felt more empowered in my life. Except for the fact that I didn't, because I was devastated and felt like my art was worthless since it only got 2 likes. It felt like Instagram was using me and I was disgusted. But I was also self-aware enough to realize I was probably doing something wrong. And so I started doing a lot of research and started watching all the YouTube videos from Hey Dominic, Natalie Ellis, Gary Vee, Vanessa Lowe, Sunny Lenatusi, all of them. And lo and behold, all of them were telling me the same thing. That hashtags were extremely important, but only if used properly. And so as a result, I wanted to figure out what properly meant. And so I started following all of their advice. I started using hashtags that had a lot of views, but not a lot of creators who were using them yet. I started stacking up hashtags. I started making sure I was using the right amount of hashtags and not just some random number. And I even went as far as to invest thousands of dollars in various Instagram courses to see what they had to say about hashtags. And lo and behold, my hard work was paying off, because I started to get millions of likes on my post and completely blew up. Except for the fact that I didn't, because none of it worked. I was still getting barely any likes on my post. Now at this moment, I started to get depressed, because I was not only getting barely any results, but I was also putting an insane amount of time and money in my profile. It felt like I was wasting my 20s like a drug addict. And what made it even harder was that I was seeing other artists that were way less good than me getting way better results. And this made me even more sad, because we all know that comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel is a tried and true recipe to throw yourself under the Tesla of your ex. Now after I quit Instagram, I started some other social media pages and channels because I was still addicted, and long story short and joking aside, several years later I was getting millions of views and tens of thousands of likes on some of my posts. And so the question that led to this video is, what changed in my hashtag strategy to get to this result? What type of hashtags was I using, and what can you copy from this strategy to get the same results? Well, the one thing that changed was that I developed the 1-month rule and started following it religiously. Let me explain what it is and how it will change your social media game forever with a short little riddle. Let's say you want to get the most amount of followers on your Instagram page, and there are 2 things that you can do. You can collect yellow spots, which will give you about 20 followers a month and will take you 1 month to acquire. Or you can collect green spots, which will give you 120 followers a month but will take you 12 months to acquire. What spot should you be collecting to have the most amount of followers 7 years from now? You can pause the video here to think about it, or you can do what everybody else does and just keep on listening. 99% of people will choose the first answer and collect yellow spots, because this makes a lot of sense. In a 12-month period, you can collect 12 yellow spots, which will give you 12 times 20 followers a month, which is 240 followers a month, which is more than 120 followers a month, which is what you would have been getting if you would have collected green spots. And so this makes a lot of sense. It seems that yellow spots will indeed give you more followers in the long run. But when we look at what Elon Musk and co are doing, however, we see that they are collecting green spots instead. And so why are they doing that? Well, they understand that because 99% of people are collecting yellow spots, the competitive market advantage that you can gain through collecting yellow spots will be acquired by a lot of people very quickly and will therefore become less powerful over time. In other words, the people that gain 20 followers a month because of a particular yellow spot they collected don't gain those followers anymore 12 months later. And so let's illustrate what happens here so that you can understand it better. In the first 12 months, 99% of people are collecting yellow spots and are gaining 240 followers a month, whereas Elon Musk and co are collecting green spots and are only gaining 120 followers a month. By the second year, 99% is still only gaining 240 followers a month, because the first 12 yellow spots they acquired don't work anymore because everybody else started doing it as well. And Elon Musk and co is now gaining 240 followers per month. By the 7th year, the people who are collecting yellow spots are still chasing the new tactics because their old tactics don't work anymore and are gaining 240 followers a month. but Elon and co is now gaining 840 followers a month. And so by doing the hard thing that takes you 12 months to acquire instead of 1 month, you allow yourself to stack up your victories, which enables you to get more in the long run. Sure, the people who were collecting yellow spots in the first year were beating Elon Musk and co, but what he understood is that by letting his victories compound over time, he would win in the end every single time. And so after I understood this principle, I created the following rule for myself. Every competitive market advantage that takes less than 1 month to acquire is not worth your time. This is the 1 month rule. And so what does this mean when it comes to hashtags? Well, it means that the difference between me getting 2 likes a post and me getting tens of thousands of likes a post had nothing to do with my hashtag strategy, because figuring out the latest hashtag tactic is the equivalent of collecting yellow spots. Everyone is doing it, and because of that, whatever competitive market advantage that you might be gaining with hashtags will be very short-lived and is therefore not worth your time. And so what should you be doing instead? Well, you should stop collecting yellow spots and start collecting green spots, obviously. So let's talk about that. Now, when it comes to finding out what green spots are, it's actually very easy. They are usually the things that you know you should be doing but are avoiding because they are too hard, take too long, and you don't have the time. We are thinking about making better art that people like more, for example, or buying a book on humor in order to become funny in your post instead of boring like everybody else. Becoming funny is harder than figuring out hashtags, but it's obviously going to give you long-term benefits for the next 40 years. Now, this is not new information, you knew this already, but for some reason you didn't bought that book on humor. Yellow spots are drawing our attention away from the important things by promising you small, meaningless victories that don't matter. And so the difference lies in identifying those yellow spots. But the problem with that is that yellow spots are very hard to recognize. And it usually takes us months before we realize that we were collecting some yellow spots instead of green spots, like I did in the beginning by trying to figure out what hashtags I should be using on Instagram, for example. And so the question becomes, what are you wasting time on that is preventing you from going after those green spots? What are those short-term strategies that are giving you enough result to keep on doing them, even though deep inside you know they are sucking the life out of your creative journey? Well, we should be talking about those things, but that would be another 15 minutes and frankly completely different video, and so I'm very sorry, but we are not going to do that. Predominantly because I already did. It's called Why Your Social Media Art Account Isn't Growing. It's linked up in the description and the end screens. That said, get the hell out of here.